Hey everyone, welcome back to a super episode of the Retro Gamers Podcast. Larry here.
Larry, you're actually not here, but Anthony's here.
No, I'm here. You see, Anthony, what today recording day.
Oh,
Oh,
I saw your hand.
yeah, well, there goes that. All right, well, that's the magic of technology. Today is Super Bowl Sunday from when we're recording, and you, my friend, who have lived in Los Angeles for a number of years
Yes,
now. And it is the LA Rams against the New England Patriots. Yes, folks, welcome to the Retro Gamers Podcast. Super Bowl Sunday, LA Rams, New England Patriots. We're gonna get this show on the road.
All right, so when are you going duck hunting?
I love this hat. Yeah. I have to back up so it doesn't take up all the room there. A lot of shadow, I know.
No, that's just absurd.
I got this hat. Let me just tighten this up a little bit. I got this hat in Ocean City, Maryland. I
think Ocean City, Maryland wants it back.
No, this guy was making everything out of this, not bamboo, just these leaves. Mm-hmm. I even have a cozy made out of these things.
Uh-huh.
And not Patriots, but a cozy. And so the guy was making different hats, and he made it from scratch right there on the beach.
Wow.
I mean, it was green. Originally, when we first got it was green. And then I think you had to keep it in the freezer overnight or something. And then it just turned into this. This thing, I got news for you. It will keep you warm a little bit.
Okay.
It keeps the sun out. And at least for the first segment, it is staying on my head.
Nice.
So
well, and it's a special. We're doing a special football themed segment, so it seems to make sense. Absolutely. I brought something football themed with me too.
Oh, did you? Okay, what do you got?
I did. I know it's not a traditional football. But it really kind of is. So this is my football for the Super Bowl party today.
How dare you?
And like all footballs, when you score a touchdown, what do the players usually like to do?
Well, for a while they were not allowed to spike the ball because
right, but they're totally allowed to spike the ball now, right?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Ready?
Wait, what? Not now. What are you doing? There's legs on it. Oh! What? What was that?
That was me spiking the football.
What? You didn't even score a touchdown.
Oh, trust me, that was a touchdown.
What? There was legs on it and everything.
Not anymore.
Oh my God. Is this what you waited for? You knew the Rams were going to, and the Pats are going to be in the Super Bowl?
I had planned this whole thing. I knew the Rams were in the Super Bowl and that I would be able to do this. Actually, it survived.
Oh, see? That is equipment, my friend.
It's a adorable little sucker.
I'm gonna. I can't believe you did that. I'm gonna safe to assume the innards may not be working anymore.
Well, you know what? I'll turn it on later and find out.
You shake it, you hear a little rattling in there.
Wait, ready? Nope, it's intact.
No, it's still good.
It's all good.
Son of a button. All right.
Although it did lose the eyepiece, so I have a new pair of headwear.
It did. God damn it! I can't. The divot on your floor right now, the dent, I should say, on your floor.
Hardwood floors, I'm all good.
Oh, look, you look like Batman. or Virtual Boy.
Let's not do that.
That was awesome. No, it wasn't. That was terrible.
That was awesome. See, I even got you to admit it was awesome.
Ruining my day. God, only one other thing.
What's really going to ruin your day is when the Patriots lose to the Rams later.
Well, we will see. Of course, by the time this airs, we're going to know the true outcome of the game.
That is correct.
But since we're actually recording on Super Bowl Sunday, we figured it'd be kind of cool to talk about the history of the Madden simulation, the Madden Super Bowl simulation.
Mm-hmm.
They've been doing Madden. Of course, first of all, let's talk about the game, Madden football, or now as we know, it's just
Madden 19.
Exactly. Game's been around since the early 90s. Probably the best football series that's ever come out on home console. And they kind of got a lock on that when they signed the deal with the NFL. That pretty made them the only game in town, literally, to be able to make an NFL game, which was a little wacky there at first. But hey, listen, money's money.
That's true.
I've played a few of them. As much as I'm a Pats fan, and I'll watch the game and everything. I really didn't get like. I don't know. I kind of like the older Madden games than the new, and that's not. Hey, look, we're on the retro gamers. I don't know. I just kind of like the simplicity of the older games.
Well, I remember they were a lot easier. They were just a lot easier to play because as somebody who's not a really huge football fan, and there was a pocket of time where I actually was, but it's just one of those things. It comes and goes for me, and I do enjoy watching the Super Bowl and not for the commercials. I enjoy watching the Super Bowl for the actual game. But when I would play video games, I gotta say, like the original, like the 8-bit ones, like Tecmo Bowl, like just football,
10-yard fight.
10-yard fight. The simple ones I felt were just, it was easy to pick up and play because, you ran around with the ball, you passed it. It had the screen where you chose what formation you wanted. Nothing uber complicated. Now, of course, fast forward to today, you've got, everything in there from start to finish, obviously fully simulated. You have the stadiums, you have career mode, you have
weather.
Weather. Like there's so many factors involved. It's practically like you're playing football. Of course you're not because you're sitting on your butt. But yeah, no, something about the older ones. Even when they first started going 3D, like I remember playing NFL Quarterback Club on the N64, and that was actually really entertaining. So, and then of course the ESPN 2K series that they did.
Oh yeah, and we've talked about this before. I think as a single game, like 1 year, one game, I think ESPN NFL ESPN 2K5 best game out, and it was on the original Xbox or 360.
No, I think it was on the original Xbox because it was 2005. I think 360 came out a year later.
You're right. I don't know why I thought it was backwards compatible. That's right. It was on the 360. It was backwards compatible.
Correct.
Okay. Yes. Now it's going to come back to me. My head was a little smaller when I bought this.
A little.
Yeah. Hard to believe. So ESPN 2K5, probably the best football game unto itself. But Madden, again, ever since taking over the licensing and pretty much putting a monopoly on the genre, at least, look, the games are still awesome, but there's a fun factor that plays in on Super Bowl, well, before Super Bowl Sunday, but that has played into the actual game. And, I hope Roger Goodell is not listening because the fact that we're even saying Super Bowl, who knows how long this episode will stay on the air.
Get sued. But to your point, and this is also something that it's not just something that gets covered by gamers. This is something literally that every news site, every sports page, like actually covers this.
Yep.
Which is amazing in its own right.
Yeah, and we're going to see why in a little bit. We're going to talk about the history of basically the Madden Super Bowl simulation. The Madden curse is a whole nother subject we can get into at the time.
And that's not subject to just Madden.
I was about to ask that because as much as everyone knows, just to touch very briefly, the Madden curse, the cover athlete of the Madden football game usually always got injured, like a season-ending injury. Has that happened?
Little adjustment there.
Oh, all right, cool. I like it. We're on the fly.
Uh-huh.
Has that been the case for I know you love hockey, so has that been the case with NHL?
Well, oddly enough, it happened like 2 or 3 years in a row for the NHL. So they started saying that the curse was spreading.
Yeah.
But I think it's subsided on the NHL side. I don't know about the MLB side because I don't pay attention to baseball.
Yeah, I never really heard much about baseball or basketball on those.
No, the Madden curse is the bigger one that everybody.
Well, hence because it's Madden's football. John Madden,
Yeah,
the guy who refuses to fly anywhere. I don't blame him, and it created the turducken, the greatest stuffing of 3 animals into each other I've ever seen.
The only stuffing of 3 animals I've ever heard of.
I've been to Vegas, but anyway, so
as have I.
So first, let's talk about this year's Super Bowl. And it's funny in doing my research for this. before I went to the actual, I don't know why it didn't dawn on me just to go to easports.com, but like everyone did their simulation. Everyone ran a simulation for this football game. So obviously it is what it is. You know, it's meant to be fun, but with the new stats, the current stats, in these games, because for a while, remember, you bought a game, one of these sports games, and that's it. You were stuck with whatever it was. And, you know, it wasn't until we had these systems hooking up to the internet, we can download rosters, current rosters, or even current stats, you know, where now it could be completely up to date. And so now it's starting to make a turn. But as much as everyone else does the corny tradition of running their own Super Bowl simulation, go to Facebook at our Facebook page because you'll see one more.
That's right. We ran a well, of course we're doing the Super Bowl Sunday, but we ran a Super Bowl simulation of the Patriots versus the Rams in 8-bit style on Tecmo Super Bowl.
Actually, I guess maybe that's 16-bit actually.
No, that was NES.
Tecmo Super Bowl was on NES?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, a little Super Bowl.
Okay. Nope, it was
even
on
better.
NES. So so you can check it. You can check out if you just want to see exactly how our simulation ran and whether or not it was correct. You can go to our Facebook page and check it out.
Way back in '91.
Yes.
So let's talk about the current simulation. So let's get right to it. Well, let's put the cart before the horse. And the Madden NFL 19 has predicted that the LA Rams will beat the New England Patriots. They robbed them of their 6th Super Bowl win by a score of 30-27.
That's right. Tom Brady's other hand is going to stay naked.
Giselle. So, you know, the Rams back in LA after leaving for a long time. Hey, was there a big hoopla when the Rams came back?
There actually was. I was surprised because, you know, the city had been without a football team for such a long time that news of the Rams coming back became a big deal, huge fanfare. Also going to the LA Coliseum for their
cool
for their games, which are really cool. At least until the new stadium is built in, I think it'll be up in 2020.
Okay.
So
okay.
But the funnier thing about the LA Rams coming back is the Chargers are also coming back too, or came back to LA. Nobody cares.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't even realize the Chargers went back to LA.
See,
I thought they were still in San Diego.
I don't know if they've left San Diego yet, or like this is literally why.
No.
Like I have not
LA
really
Chargers.
followed football in the last few years. All I know is that the Chargers and the Rams are both going to be LA based, and then the Oakland Raiders are shipping out to Las Vegas. So
they're going to Vegas. Oh, that's right.
The Raiders are going to Vegas.
Yes.
Oakland's really pissed off about it because they don't want to lose the Raiders. But I have to say, I was in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago, and I saw the stadium underway, and it's looking nice. It's right by the Strip, not too far from the other state, the indoor stadium that they built, the arena that they built. I'm trying to think of the name of the arena for their hockey team, the Golden Knights.
Okay.
So, if Vegas wasn't crowded before, it's definitely going to be crowded during football season now.
I didn't realize the Chargers and the Rams are actually going to share the same football stadium.
That is correct.
Much
they're
like
sharing the same,
like the Jets and the
sharing
Giants.
the same stadium, and probably with the number of Charger fans that they have to fill the seats, the games will probably go on at the same time. So,
oh yes. So let's get right into it. We're going to break this down for some of you sports nerds out there. Basically, the Pats took over in the first quarter, scoring the touchdown, and the Rams had nothing on the board there. The Patriots kept their lead in the second quarter, adding a field goal to their score, making it 10-3. Rams starting to come back, and they come back in a big way in the third quarter.
No, Larry, I think you're reading it wrong.
What?
No. The Patriots in the second quarter scored a touchdown and a field goal, while the Rams only scored a field goal.
Stupid me.
So
I'm adding.
By the end of the first half, Patriots are up 17-3.
I'm adding. I'm literally thought they were just adding on to it. You're right.
Correct.
Again, blood flow. So let's go into the third quarter, at which that point, the Rams were like, you know what? We forgot to show up, so let's now finally hit the field. And the Rams in the third quarter score 17 points to the Patriots 3.
And now we got a tie score, 20-20, going into the fourth.
Thank you very much. And going into the fourth quarter, the Rams seal it up with their 10 points, with the Pats scoring another touchdown, but it wasn't worth it as the game ends 30-27. And the Super Bowl MVP in the simulation is Aaron Donald. So we'll see how that works out in the real game. Will. Some quick highlights, very quick highlights. We had, let's see, Rams got their field goal in the second quarter, like we said. Nothing major there. Oh, 46-yard pass touchdown from Woods. From Goff to Woods in the third quarter.
Yep.
And, of course, Gronk with his 32-yard field goal in the third quarter. This is just some of the quick highlights.
No, that's not Gronk. That's Goskowski.
What? The guy who almost got arrested at WrestleMania. Yes. And and then break down a little bit further. I mean, let's compare the quarterbacks in the game. Again, there's so much, difference here. Brady, 22 for 29, 287 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and Jared
Goff.
Yep. I was going to say Jeff. Jared Goff. I don't watch that much football this season. 23 completions out of 38 attempts, 303 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception as well. And, the defense did pretty good. The LA Rams sacked. Oh, that's why they gave him MVP. Donald sacked Brady 4 times.
That'll do it.
That's going to do it right there, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Pat's had a couple sacks. And then I love how they compared Brady's playoff career to Jared Goff's total career.
Yes. Isn't that awesome?
I love it. Look, love him or hate him, Tom Brady, one of the best players, one of the best QBs of all time.
He'll be considered that once he retires, but right now everybody hates him.
Of course. Brady's 29 playoff career wins versus Goff's 26 career wins. But nevertheless,
basically the stats between the two, Tom Brady's playoff career trumps Jared Goff's total career in everything.
Absolutely. Game-winning drives, passing TDs. It's hysterical. So,
it's amazing.
And then finally, some of the featured players I'll mention here from the Pats, Sony Michael. I'm sure that's probably Michelle. Yeah. And then it's WrestleMania season. And then on the Rams, Aaron Donald and Robert Woods putting up some big numbers. So this looks like it was, again, New England kind of blown it out of the water there for the first half. Mm-hmm. And then the Rams are like, oh yeah, we're here to win.
Yeah. Well, that's the good old, during the halftime show, while Maroon 5 is playing with, I don't know, Meatloaf or whoever the hell else they bring in for a special guest. But while Maroon 5 is playing, the coach is in the back, giving that big speech, that big speech that happens in every sports movie that just charges all of them up. And then they come out with like a new theme song, and then all of a sudden they just start running everything over. And then the third and fourth quarter happen in montage fashion until we get to the last 5 minutes.
And then you just hear Rudy, Rudy.
And then Sean Astin runs on the field and gets destroyed.
And for the record, I will not be watching Maroon 5. I will be watching Halftime Heat.
Okay. I'll be watching, neither.
So, big numbers and a lot of detail nowadays, like we said earlier, Ant, because the game is so sophisticated now. It breaks down like the actual game will when we see the results tomorrow in the newspaper.
Correct.
Now, the history though of this
totally different story.
Thing, and it's an interesting. I mean, look, we're not going to break it down like we just did there because they really didn't keep track of that part of it. But we're just going to talk about the score, just a straight up who won, who lost, and the score. And they started this back at Super Bowl 38.
Yes.
Which
and that was way back when the Panthers actually, were good.
Yeah, they were in the Super Bowl. Absolutely. Yeah. This would have been The second of 3 out of 4 Super Bowl wins for the Patriots. But basically, for the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, no, it was pretty well. Actually, for the first while, the simulation nailed it as far as the winners.
Yes.
We're just gonna go through this real quick. We'll highlight some of the kind of the interesting facts of it. Super Bowl 38, Pats versus the Panthers. The prediction: 23-20 Patriots. The results: 32-29 Patriots.
Yes.
So that one wasn't too bad.
No, that was actually, not only was it correct, but it actually had the point differential correct as well. So the Patriots won by 3 points.
Yep. Super Bowl 39, Pats versus Eagles. 47-31 Patriots was predicted. 24-21 Patriots was actual. I believe that was, unfortunately, Deflategate.
Yeah. Wait, was Deflategate that long ago? No. That's Super Bowl 39?
Oh, it was a while ago. Yeah.
No, it wasn't that. It was not 14 years ago.
Wasn't when they last won, was it?
No, it was more recent. It was
Certainly.
Oh no, wait. Did they? Yeah, they lost the Super Bowl when
we're gonna happened. Oh no, they won. That's why everyone was complaining about it.
No.
First was against the Rams. Yeah. Actually, funny enough, they played the Rams. I think it was the Rams when they had the whole issue with Spygate.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was Super Bowl 49, but not 39.
No, I don't think we'll get to it. We'll follow as we get there. Yeah. All right, so let's go back over here. Here we go.
And you know what, while you're looking, I'm gonna look it up.
Look up. All right.
Yes.
You know, I try and put this stuff out of my memory. Super Bowl 40. Super Bowl 40, Steelers versus Seahawks again for the third year in a row. They got the winner and almost got the score. Predicted 24-19 Steelers. Actual result 21-10 Steelers. So not too bad. Not too bad.
Nope, not bad.
Super Bowl 41, Colts versus Bears. Again, they got it right. 38-27 Colts predicted. 29-17 Colts win. And then
the only Super Bowl ring for Manning, right? Peyton Manning?
No. That was his first one.
That was his first one.
Yep. In what has to be, in my opinion, probably the
best Super Bowl in history.
Listen, I will say yes. It was probably the best Super Bowl game ever played.
Mm-hmm.
But it just went wrong everywhere it could have been, including the prediction. But you can't help the simulation. Who would have guessed? Super Bowl 42, Patriots versus Giants. Predicted results, 38-30 Patriots, who would have then been the second team in NFL history to go undefeated, matching Miami in the 70s. But of course, because that stupid helmet grab, it ended up being 17-14 Giants.
That one of the greatest catches in NFL history.
Absolutely. That, again, agreed.
Yeah.
All right. And
moving on to 43.
Absolutely.
We had the Steelers versus the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
And the predicted result were the Steelers over 28-24. The actual result was actually really close. Steelers went over 27-23. So it was only a couple of points difference there.
Yeah,
cool.
No, absolutely. And now the simulation is back on track because the Pats and Giants was the first time that it got the prediction wrong.
Yes. And then we'll move on to Super Bowl 44 with the Colts versus the Saints.
That was a good game.
Had the Saints going over 35-31, which was actually correct. So, again, Madden is right on the money.
Actual score there, 31-17.
Now, and this is the other thing to keep in mind, too, and we talked about this before, where you can download – we're at the point now where you're downloading rosters, getting updated stats from the season. So – so all of the information that's being put in before they run these simulations is as accurate as it could possibly be for the players.
Oh, yeah.
So it just seems to make sense that, a lot of these predictions actually wound up being correct. Like at this point, we're seven simulations in and only one of them is wrong.
And to be fair, all joking aside, I mean, the odds on favorite were the Pats against the Giants. Again, all jokes aside, they were 17-0 going into that game. So it was, and the Giants were a wild card. Who knew they were going to pull it out of the back pocket. So prediction-wise, I still think it's doing a really great job at predicting these games.
Agreed.
So up next would be Super Bowl 45. 45. Yes. Steelers and Packers, two of the old-time teams here. And this was the second time in simulation history that Madden got it wrong. So predicted results, 24-20 Steelers, actual 31-25 Packers.
I don't remember. Do you remember who the favorite was in that?
I'm not even going to venture to pretend like I know. So no,
We'll just leave it there.
I think it was I want to say the Packers.
Okay.
Because also I just don't like the Steelers because of the host of the Yin and the Yang podcast. But
that's great. Yes. Hi, Anthony Chu.
Super Bowl 41. Excuse me. Gotta do my.
It's 46. Pay attention. Did you know that Anthony's gonna hear this and rant about you now?
At least now we have something to talk about.
Exactly.
So, Super Bowl 56, the rematch 4 years later, Giants and Patriots back in the Super Bowl.
Where the Patriots would get their revenge, except they didn't.
Yeah, and this time, though, Madden got it correct.
Yes.
Again, score very close. Predicted 27-24, Big Blue. Actual results 21-17, the miserable Giants.
Very good. The awesome Giants, who have 2 Super Bowl rings at the Patriots' expense.
And Eli Manning, I think he was... No, he wasn't Super Bowl MVP that year. Because I remember
the first year was him.
It was because Peyton Manning was the MVP the year before, and then Eli, and that was the first time brothers won consecutively MVPs. Yep.
Might be the last.
Well, yeah, you never know. Super Bowl 50, 45, 6, 47.
Come on, Larry.
Ravens and the 49ers.
No, you're Latin.
Again, nail it. Predicted 27-24 Ravens. Actual 34-31 Ravens.
Yeah, exactly. Again, 3-point spread.
That was the year I actually had season tickets to the Patriots.
Oh, and they didn't make it.
Baltimore destroyed them in the wild card game.
I actually remember watching that. It was nice.
The first ever cold weather Super Bowl. And as of right now, the only cold weather Super Bowl.
And that is why the rest are happening in the South.
Super Bowl 48 in our backyard, or at least Anthony's old backyard, my current backyard, MetLife Stadium. I was very excited. Actually, remember when they held a concert out here, like a Super Bowl concert. So the Chili Peppers there for the first time. Awesome. Now, I'd like to talk about this real quick. It was Steelers and the Broncos.
No. Seahawks.
God, you're right. I'm sorry. I apologize. That's just me getting hit in the head too much.
That's
Seahawks.
You need to take the hat off.
I'm staring at the logos, too. That doesn't help any. Seahawks and Broncos. Now, going into this, the Broncos were a lock. Peyton Manning just left Indianapolis. He's playing with, maybe not just left, but he's playing with the Broncos. Yeah. His career's starting to wind down. And, the Broncos were just dominant. So Madden predicted 31-28 Broncos.
And what happened?
By God, did this go in a different direction.
Yep.
Pete Carroll, the Seahawks. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, probably the most incorrect you can get for a Super Bowl prediction here.
And the biggest lopsided Super Bowl in history. Because Pete Carroll and the Seahawks just said, you know what, Broncos? Screw you and your high-altitude weather, playing. We like the cold. And they beat them 43-8.
It's insane. Ooh. That's just sad.
And at that point, the NFL said, MetLife, we bid you adieu.
We are done. We're breaking up with you. It's over.
God. Meanwhile, I'm looking forward to maybe a snowstorm at WrestleMania this year, so we'll see. Yes.
And you know what? I don't think, and the Broncos really, they couldn't really complain about the weather because they play in Denver. So
no, true. And the weather,
no excuse there.
It was cold. I don't think it snowed.
I know, so that really wasn't an excuse.
Maybe rain. But oh man, I just remember it was a lock for Peyton Manning and the Broncos, and oofa. Not so much. So now at this point, Anthony, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you will. I think it's the third or fourth one they got wrong. The third one, I think.
I think it was number 3.
All right.
Yes.
Out of 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
A lot.
and 11. So what? 3 wrong out of 11. Yeah,
That's pretty good.
Numbers are good. Okay, this is the one. This is the only one
Yes.
that nailed it. Super Bowl 49. Patriots, Seahawks. Seahawks are back in the big game. Predicted results: New England Patriots 28, Seahawks 24. Actual results: New England Patriots 28, Seahawks 24.
Cannot get more perfect than that.
Nope.
It's exact.
This one, I'll look later when we're done. I'd really like to see the breakdown of this simulation versus the actual game.
I agree, because this one was just talk about on point. That's just crazy.
Yeah, so that nailed it home. Super Bowl 50. Can't ask for a better way to end your football career. Peyton Manning again with the Broncos, finally extracting revenge on the miserable Seahawks, or at least for that game against the Seahawks, as it was the Panthers and the Broncos. Super Bowl 55-0.
Yes.
Predicted
wait,
result.
hang on. Let's circle back for 1 second.
Okay. No problem.
To your Patriots and Seahawks.
Okay.
Only because I bring that up because that was the year of Deflategate, because it was the AFC Championship game of the with the Patriots against the Colts, where Deflategate happened.
I remember the Colts being involved.
The Colts were involved. Patriots won the game 45-7. And that was and then Deflategate happened.
I don't get, because both teams used the ball in any event.
One team wasn't prepared.
They weigh them before the game.
Sure.
XFL 2020. So Super Bowl 50. Again, score very after coming off a perfect score, a perfect prediction. Madden pretty much almost nailed it again. Predicted 24-20 Panthers. Well, never mind. No, they didn't.
Well, I was just going to say, they didn't really predict this one.
Well, the score, though, at least the score you can almost count.
Right.
Predicted 24-20 Panthers, actual 24-10 Broncos, and Peyton Manning retires with his second Super Bowl win.
That's right. Well, he had to retire with a second ring, otherwise his little brother wouldn't have let him live it down.
Honestly.
I mean, can you imagine them in like a retirement home like 50 years from now? And Eli's just laughing at him with his 2 rings, and Peyton's only got the 1.
What about the third son, who's like an accountant or something like that?
Yeah, he's the pariah.
Well, Archie Manning's like, what happened? Where did I go?
What are you talking about? Archie basically earns his living probably doing their taxes.
No, Archie Manning's the father.
Oh. Well, whatever the Manning brother is.
I think it's.
I don't know. I don't follow the Manning family like you. I'm not a stalker.
No, it's. Oh, come on. Peyton Manning was awesome on Saturday Night Live.
I did not see it.
Let's now go to Super Bowl 51. This is another one. I would love to see the breakdown, because this is the game that it was the Patriots against the Falcons. The Falcons were destroying the Pats.
Yes, they were
destroying the Pats.
I remember that well.
We're going into like minutes left in the third. It was like 24-3 or something, or 31-3. I think it was 20.
Yeah, it was some crazy number. It really was.
I mean, the Pats were just pooping the bed. There was no way they were coming back. And then
Deflategate 2 happened, but nobody knows about that one.
Nope. I think Giselle said something to Tom, and Brady's like, you know what? F this. Let's go win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm sure she gave him motivation in the half.
and just came back and ran over. Oh, it was 27-3 because the Pats scored all their points unanswered.
That's right. They just went on a run.
And it was just like game over. So prediction 27-24 Pats, actual 34-28 Pats.
Well, I mean, at least the prediction was right. The game didn't look like it was going to be right.
I remember sitting there after halftime. I'm like, you know what? They're going to lose this game. Whatever. I like Atlanta. Congratulations to the Falcons. And Brady just looked into the camera and just went, watch this. And then we're going to start wrapping it up here with Super Bowl 52, Pats versus Eagles. Predicted 24-20 Patriots. Actual 41-33 Eagles.
Yeah, that was a crazy game last year. That was just a crazy game.
Another nutty one.
Yep. And now, just to point out really quickly.
Yes.
When Madden first started predicting, right, it was really on point. Now, the last 5 years, to your point, when they're putting in all the stats, all the players, everything up to date leading into the Super Bowl, 3 out of the last 5 have been wrong.
Interesting. Yeah, and now if we go back just very quickly, I mean, just to take a look, let's try and put two and two together. Pats and Falcons, again, Brady just a woken sleeping giant out of nowhere. And then, well, now was really the only one that to me had some. Oh, and was the Super Bowl up in MetLife? Was that one of the last 5?
Which one was that?
Super Bowl 49. Excuse me, 48.
Yes, it was.
Super Bowl 48. Again, no one saw that coming with the Broncos.
Right, but still, it's just it'll be interesting to see.
Agreed.
Since, the last 5 years, 3 of them have been incorrect. But overall, we're talking 15 years, and out of the 15 years, they 10 correct, 5 wrong. That's actually a pretty decent.
Oh, absolutely.
That's actually a pretty decent NFL season.
Yeah, yeah, and you can't always take away the human element factor.
Of course.
But interesting to see. So now we have the stats again. When we're recording, Super Bowl hasn't happened yet, but by the time this drops, we'll be able to compare and contrast. But and are you going to be doing? I know you said you'll be kind of not really watching the game. Well, you're watching the game, but
no, I'll be watching the game. I have a couple of I had a couple of party invitations.
Okay.
But I kind of started a project in my house that is upsetting my home, so I'll have to see when I get that done. Maybe I'll head out for the half.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens.
All right, cool. Yeah, I got a Super Bowl party to be heading to. Got to go pick up that cheese and cracker platter that I ordered, and hopefully don't eat before I bring it to the house.
Don't you dare.
And other than that, I'm gonna go out into the into the swamp and see what I can do out there with some gator wrestling.
Yeah, you enjoy that. You enjoy that, and hopefully one of those gators will not eat you. I'm not that cruel, but will eat that goddamn hat.
This hat is awesome.
Okay, so now if we haven't talked about enough football for you guys,
I had to take the hat off.
Yeah, the hat had to come off because it was so awful. It was actually my Skype stopped recording because it couldn't handle the hat. But anyway, since we haven't talked enough football, I have decided for this mini segment to talk about this week's canceled game of the week.
Oh, okay.
And it is a football game.
Oh, really?
So this week's canceled game of the week is NFL Retro Football, also known as Retro Studios Football. It was being developed by Retro Studios, which you might know as the developers of 2 very important franchises, the Metroid Prime series and the Donkey Kong Country series.
Yes, and in fact, just real quick, they're going back. Metroid Prime 4 got completely scratched and starting from the beginning, and Nintendo's going to them because they originally made, like you said, Metroid Prime, so they're going to be part of Metroid Prime 4.
Exactly. But during their time with Nintendo back in the late 90s, which is when they actually started with, they started somewhere around 98. I think that was when their first Metroid game came out, or Donkey Kong Country, when they started doing those. But so Retro Studios was approached by Nintendo to create a football game. So for the GameCube, not for the N64, but for the GameCube.
Okay.
It was canceled in February 2001. And what happened was Nintendo wanted a game. Now, initially, it was rumored that this was going to be a Mario-themed football game.
Ooh.
But Nintendo decided, instead of going the Mario route, they wanted this to be a more mature game. So they wanted it to be an actual football game, as realistic as possible. So Retro Studios was working on it, but in the early stages of their company, they were dealing with financial issues and things like that. They were struggling to get by. They had layoffs and stuff. And then Nintendo offered the company Metroid in 2000.
Okay.
And Metroid pretty much saved Retro Studios.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. So then one of the GameCube games, so then they get to the GameCube version of NFL Retro Football. It was going to be a traditional football game and the rumor was it was also probably going to be the first football game to include a creator player mode.
Ooh. That would have been
which
cool.
would have been interesting
Yeah.
and monumental at the time. So what exactly happened? Nobody 100% knows. But the guess is they canceled it because at this time, EA made a deal with Sega to port Madden NFL and the NFL 2K series to the GameCube. And since they were already getting 2 football games with the NFL license attached, it didn't make any sense to go with NFL Retro Football.
I see that.
Right. My argument here would have been, well, why not just revert to the Mario football game that you originally wanted to make and offer something different? But I guess they already had 2 NFL games coming out, so they just focused on that. Therefore, NFL Retro Football ceased to be. There are videos online, though, of like the test plays.
Oh, really?
Like some test plays of the football game, which looks really cool, especially for the time. But was not meant to be. So NFL Retro Football is this week's canceled game of the week.
All right. So with with all these Super Bowl parties that everyone's having, the party atmosphere, there may not just be, not everyone wants to watch the Super Bowl. Not everyone is, couples go.
Right.
There may be other kind of smaller offshoots happening, but not only that, in a party atmosphere, there's other things to do besides watch TV or a movie or a sporting event.
And you know what? And I think I know what you're referring to, Larry, because just before we started recording the podcast, I brought up a very interesting anniversary that we're celebrating this week.
Highlight.
Yeah. Yes. Highlight. That's it. No, but we are actually, this week, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of Mario Party. Mario Party came out 20 years ago this week in 1999 on the Nintendo 64.
And what's funny is when we were talking about this beforehand, I suggested this topic. I had no idea. I didn't realize it was the anniversary of it. So
yes, it was. So it was
everything.
It was the perfect topic for this week. For once, you were actually right on point.
Well, once every few shows.
Yes, I would say you were. I would say when we talked that you are like the virtual boy of of discussions, but Virtual Boy never got anything right. So, and I want to give you a little bit of credit.
I think design and sturdiness, they got 100% correct.
Well, no, I don't. Well, I don't know. I mean, based on how I spiked it, there could still be internal damage.
It gets damage in shipping. So
that's exactly what's going to happen. It's like, I'm going to keep this thing pristine and then I'm going to like mail it to you or something because eventually I'll break down and feel badly for you. And then, well, knowing my post office, you'll never get it.
Oh, I did though, real fast. Because you mentioned post office, I did get the Christmas gift, the delayed Christmas gift. So
there it is.
That Anthony got me. It's a T-shirt in an N6 Super NES cart. I don't even kind of want to open the cart. I kind of like this. So, but
I mean, I bought one for me for Link to the Past, and I still haven't opened it for the same reason. I just kind of want to leave it alone.
Yeah. So very cool though. Very cool. Thank you.
You are welcome.
But your post office is terrible.
My post office, I have the worst post office. My post office is so bad that I actually want Frank Messina from the Better Half to come out here and teach them how to be postal workers. Hi, Frank.
He'll hear this.
And then when Frank comes out to visit, he can play Baldur's Gate 2 with me again. So
he's so far behind.
I know. So anyway, we're talking, Mario Party celebrating its 20th anniversary. And we've covered Mario Party a couple of times here. In fact, I think we covered it last year around this time as well.
And when the new one came out. So I streamed it and I was there.
When the new one came out. And also going through our Retro Gamers podcast archive, we had done, in January of 2018, we had talked about video games that were becoming board games because I was in Barnes & Noble and I saw the Centipede board game based on the original video game.
Yep. Now
we're flipping the script a little bit and we are going to talk about board games that have become video games.
And I definitely I've owned more video games based on board games than I have board games based on video games.
Agreed. Same here.
So, but yeah, we can get right into this. There's some good stuff. Some of which you're like, how can they even make that into a game? Yep. But, others kind of like make sense. So
yeah, exactly. But just before we jump into it, based on our own personal experiences, what is the very first video game that you remember playing that was based off of a board game?
The one that immediately comes to my mind is Monopoly for the NES. And I
Yes.
remember specifically because we would, me and my friends, we started playing Monopoly, like the board game. They'd come over and we'd play. And then I got the game, I think like for Christmas on my birthday. And then what we did was we ended up transferring the game, the physical game, to the NES game because the NES game had this weird like game editor that you can like start in the middle of a game and like you can
Yes.
just divvy up the property, the houses, and everything.
Yeah, because when you played Monopoly, when you play Monopoly with your friends, the actual board game, sometimes you'd sit there for hours.
Oh,
Now, granted, we probably didn't play by the rules we were supposed to play by because I remember as a kid when we played Monopoly, it's like if you landed on a property that you didn't want, you just said no, and we kept playing. Now,
yeah.
The actual rule in the game is if you don't want to buy the property goes up for auction. So somebody has to buy it at that point. And that's what makes the game goes faster.
And that annoyed me so much about the NES version because I'm like, why am I auction? I don't want to auction this. I just want to skip it and move on.
Yeah, because those are the actual rules of the game. And also, a rule of the game that, obviously people made up that is not actually in the game. Free parking does not get money put underneath it.
This is true.
Yeah, because when we used to play, we would always put $500 under there, but we would also put any money you spent for taxes. So if you paid income tax, it went in free parking. So somebody would wind up hitting free parking and running away with like a bank load of money.
Oh, yeah, it was the worst.
But yeah, I remember playing the NES one, and actually, I still own Monopoly for the NES.
Okay.
And it was actually one of the games. I know we don't talk about emulators that often here because of both of our views with it.
You and Rich had an amazing conversation about it a few episodes ago. So.
Yes, we did. But I think, but way back when emulation was young, Monopoly was probably the one game I played the most on it because Monopoly on the NES, you can fly through it in like 10 or 15 minutes. You really can.
It's kind of funny how fast you can blow through it.
Exactly. And now, they've made, Monopoly has been made pretty much for every system since. And now you're talking about like, you can download on PS4, like, I forgot what the name of the Monopoly is there. It's like Monopoly Hotel or whatever, but yeah, there's like 3D versions of Monopoly. There's a card game based off Monopoly.
But how about the Monopoly on the Switch, which when it first came out, and we're talking like whether you downloaded it or the physical card, literally took about 6 minutes to load.
Yes.
Literally. Every time.
Yep. So, companies are always finding ways for some odd reason to make Monopoly more complicated than it actually is. I am, I'm very purist with board games, so I'm happy with even still today, I will put in the NES cartridge and play that Monopoly instead of having the one, let's say, for the Switch or for the PlayStation 4.
Well, let's call a spade a spade. You're so pure. You'll play the board game first, and then if you have to, you'll move over to the NES version.
That's actually very true. But since I live alone, it's a lot easier for me to just play the game.
What you mean? The cats don't sit there and like just move?
Well, no, that's how they move. That's how they move their pieces. But the problem is they never leave my hotels alone.
Adorable. So, so Monopoly, was the first one that I remember.
Okay. Now, one of the ones that I remember that I'm most fond of, and I have to give a shout out to this one, even though it wasn't a board game first. I feel like Anticipation was the first video game board game that I think really like stood out.
Okay, I agree.
Not related to our topic. Just wanted to bring that up because I loved Anticipation.
Definitely a honorable mention.
Yeah, but one board game that became a video game that I absolutely loved, and this is my favorite board game of all time. And I remember playing it on Super Nintendo and on Genesis. I don't remember which one I had when I was younger. I think I had the Genesis one, but now I own both. Mm-hmm. But Parker Brothers Clue is by far and away my favorite board game of all time. I love it. I collect clues, actually. I have, I think, 8 or 9 different Clue board games.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. And then the oldest one I have is actually quick funny story.
I love this story.
I know. Went to a Goodwill store, found a version of Clue from 1986, bought it, brought it home, when I went to open it, I noticed that the box was heavier than it should have been, and I'm like, this is a very heavy Clue, and I don't know why, because I bought the '86 version that I used to play as a kid, so it was awesome adding it to my collection. And when I opened it up, inside there was the 1986 version of Clue, and the board, and all of the pieces for the 1963 version of Clue.
That's insane.
Which is insane. And all the pieces were there completely intact. I guess it just didn't have a box. I was so happy when I opened that box and found that. It was awesome.
No,
But
that was cool.
yeah, it was really cool. But getting back to the video game, what I always loved about Clue, especially in the video game version, is the difficulty levels on it, because it's not an easy game to play, because you're using deduction to try and figure out, who did it where and what weapon. And even when you're playing against the computer, they make it really, really hard, like the hard version on there. Like I would always play at the hardest level. You have to sit there with the paper, because if you remember in Clue, you have the paper, so you can start Xing things off.
You got it, exactly. You got to weed things out.
On my very first computer, I remember one of the first things I did was make that paper so I can play the Clue video game, because there was no way you were going to be able to remember it. You had to write it all down.
There was no like video version of it, like an electronic version of it.
No, there was no electronic version in the game, so you had to keep track on paper, like you did when you played the board game. Yeah. But still, absolutely love it. And even to the point where every time I go to a video game store, whether it's Game Dude or a Gamer's Paradise in Las Vegas, wherever the hell I go, I'm always looking out for Hasbro. I think it was Hasbro. Hasbro put out those Family Game Night series, right?
Yes. Yeah, like especially on the Wii and stuff. Yeah.
Right. So Family Game Night 3 for Xbox 360 has Clue on it.
Oh.
And I've been trying to track that down. Cannot find it anywhere. Now, granted, I can just go on eBay and buy it, but I've been trying to find it in a physical store, and and I can't find it. I have a guest.
Hello again.
Yeah, he seems to show up every week now.
He's gonna have to.
Hello. Hello. Bye.
Train him. Wow, that sounded louder than the Virtual Boy.
No, nothing was louder than that. But again, and the cool thing about the Clue game also that I loved is when you made an accusation. So if I was like, it was Colonel Mustard with the wrench in the library, it would actually cue an animation that started telling you a story, and it would be like, it was a dark night outside. Colonel Mustard was in the library twirling his mustache, and then he picked up the wrench. Or if he didn't have the wrench, that's when another character would show up and say, "Oh, Colonel Mustard didn't have the wrench, and I have proof." So that's how you would rule it out. But the little custom animation that they would do with it was just really cool to watch while you're playing the game.
That. All right. Yeah. That's cool.
I highly recommend, again, the Super Nintendo or the Genesis version of Clue. Or if anybody out there has the 360 version, just send it to me.
That is simple enough, right? It happens with other other podcasts currently.
Why not?
So that's cool. I mean, Clue, that's definitely like an in-depth game to really get into. I also enjoyed, and there's been multiple versions that have come out. Even the newest one just came out on the Switch. Something like Trivial Pursuit.
Oh, yes.
Which, in theory, should translate itself very well to a video game. But this is where we start having the issue of the random questions repeating themselves very quickly. And that's what deterred me from those type of video games, like based on those question board games. I love like a trivia board game.
Oh yeah, so do I. I had actually, I think I had Trivial Pursuit for the Sega CD.
Ooh, I feel like I may have as well.
Yeah, that's the one I remember playing the most.
Okay.
On there. And then I was going to bring up something else, Trivial Pursuit. No, I wasn't. I was going to switch over to something else.
I'm trying to remember. I think it was the original Xbox version of Trivial Pursuit. I think it was like Trivial Pursuit Live or something. That's the first one I remember where they actually made it a point where like it kept track of the questions.
Yes.
So you really wouldn't get. I mean, you'd have to play a bunch of times before at some point they started repeating. As funny as not as funny, but as much of a money grabber as it would have been, I think people, as we definitely two trains of thought about DLC, especially microtransactions when it comes to video games, in-app purchases, if you will.
Yes.
But I feel like games like Trivial Pursuit or like Millionaire, Weakest Link, if it was still around,
Yep.
I think those you would get more people on board to buy question packs as in-game downloads.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. And I think there are games today that do offer that.
Starting to
Yeah,
do it now. Yeah.
they're starting to do it now, which is really cool.
Yep.
So, but you just reminded me of another game that I wanted to bring up. And there are a series of these games, board games, because they theme them out like crazy. Do you remember Seen It?
I had a pen and pad. I was gonna write it down because I thought you were going with something else. Because in my head, Seen It popped in. I love Seen It on the Xbox 360.
Yeah, Seen It on the Xbox 360 was great because it came with 4 controllers.
Yep.
So every person had their own controller, and it had the buttons on it, and then on the very top, it was a round buzzer. So it was, you had green, blue, red, and yellow, I think. And,
the colors of the buttons on the Xbox.
Yeah, the colors of the buttons on the Xbox. And everybody, you just handed them out, when you guys wanted to play Seen It, and then off you went. And it just played awesome. Had all the different fun puzzles and stuff like that. That was definitely, now granted, the board game itself was kind of halfway there because it would use video clues and stuff.
Yeah.
You had a DVD that came with it, but the Xbox 360 version, countless hours of entertainment just playing that online. And I believe they had download packs for that as well. Because I remember movies Seen It that was specific to movies and stuff like that. So
they did. The first one had a couple, but then they just started releasing them physically. There would be other versions of Seen It. It started to get watered down a little bit near the end. But I remember that I vividly, I would go to my, before they were married and my cousins were living in sin in their own apartment, we would go over and hang out, a ton of us.
Are you on fire?
No, it's my phone. Ignore it. We would go over to their apartment. I would bring Seen It with all 4 controllers and my memory card, because the Xbox 360 actually you were able to bring with you a memory card, and we would play. All of us would just play ad nauseum. And what was annoying is, and I don't do this a lot. In fact, I never do this, but I will say this, and I actually hated it for it. I destroyed everybody every single time. Because I knew all the movies.
You memorized all the answers.
No. I
didn't memorize all the answers. You played it ad nauseum and memorized all the answers.
Scout's honor. I did not remember anything. It's just I just knew all the answers. How dare you?
Ouch.
I just knew all the answers, and it wasn't until now that was my cousin Jamie and her now husband Eric. It wasn't until my cousin Brianne and now her husband Jim, but I think like right before they started dating, we kind of like the games came like just weren't fun anymore, and we all kind of everyone started getting families and stuff, so we started hanging out like that. Jim is the only one. In fact, you know what? I know hopefully he's listening now. I'm gonna call him out if I can find the game. I do challenge Jim. He's the only one that, well, besides you, Ant, that can really run me for my money in Seen It. And I think one day we'll do that. We'll do a live stream on it. It's because he knows a lot of movie trivia as well.
I was gonna say, you know what? That's a great crossover episode when I come in. Let's have you, Frank, Anthony Chu, and myself in a Seen It showdown.
Oh, I gotta find my controllers. Okay.
Or just buy them again.
I'm trying not to do that.
I know.
Just found Castlevania Bloodlines. Okay. So.
Oh, that's right. Shh.
Yeah. So there goes with that.
Don't tell anybody. Don't tell anybody that I've had it all this time.
I had it, then I sold it because then all of a sudden I started doing a podcast about video games. Who knew?
Your fault.
Seen It. Probably my favorite. Favorite type of board game like that of all time.
All right, and moving on to other ones. I was just going to throw out really quickly. Aside from Clue, I'm a big Scrabble nut.
Okay, I don't remember seeing much Scrabble.
Yeah, well, there aren't a lot of Scrabble games now. I think the first Scrabble game I ever owned was on the PlayStation, the original PlayStation.
Oh wow, okay.
And I used to always play, and at this time I was still young, living at home. I would always play against my mother because my mother and I, that's our game. We play Scrabble all the time, like the board game. But when we would play the video game. Now, there's always a drawback to playing a video game version of it, because when you're playing other players,
Yes.
they're not supposed to see your tiles, and you can
Exactly.
see everybody's tiles. Now, granted, I never let that affect what I was going to play on the board anyway. So, but I would always play my mom, and I love my mother to death. I don't know where she gets the resolve for this, because I wouldn't be able to do it. I beat her every single time, and I'm not even kidding you when I say every single time. I mean every single time. And God bless her. She just rolls with it because she enjoys playing, and I'm like that too. But I also, I'm more competitive than she is. I also enjoy winning, so I just don't let up.
Oh boy, dude.
No, I'm terrible. But then they came out with, again, Family Game Night on 360. The first one had Scrabble on it. There were two games actually on it that I played all the time. It was Scrabble and Boggle, because I love Boggle also. But 1 year for Christmas, I bought my mom an Xbox 360, and I got her Family Game Night. And she, to this day, I mean, we're talking, at least 10 years, she still sits there and plays Scrabble and Boggle on the 360.
That's
and
cool.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's awesome.
Very cool. I remember, it's like I didn't. It's funny you mention that. Like the ones you kind of had to. Some people had to turn away from the screen, while you were choosing your tiles or picking or whatever like that. We talked about this in the past. It's probably one of the first board games in Civilization, but Othello.
Yes, I love Othello.
Very simple game. It was white versus black as far as like checker pieces they look like, and you just fill up the board, and if you surround your enemy, all the pieces in the middle turn to your color. Very simple, very straightforward. I had it on the NES, and I just played it ad nauseum.
I didn't have it on the NES, but I had a game that basically took the Othello game and licensed it, and it was the Spot, the 7-Up mascot.
Totally makes sense.
If you played the first Spot game on the NES, not the second one, because the second one was a side-scrolling game. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that 7-Up Spot had two video games, but then again, Yo Noid had a video game, so whatever.
Avoid the Noid.
But anyway, they took Spot and they turned it into an Othello game as well, which is interesting.
Another game I like, which it's not a board game, but let's face facts. And I'm not talking poker and stuff like that, but card games, I think would also be part of this category. You can lump them in. Uno. I remember
awesome.
when Xbox 360 came out and Xbox Live hit, Uno was a free download. Mm-hmm. Now you can still get that same exact version now. I think it's like $5 or something like that.
Yeah.
But I actually played, and it was online. That's what was cool about it. It was free, and you were able to play online with others. Hence the idea of promoting Xbox Live. I played hours of Uno online. It was just so much fun.
Oh, so did I. I mean, well, plus it was in the infancy of Xbox Live. Mm-hmm. So it was just cool to go online and play other people in anything. And Uno was such a basic game, and it's a universal game. So, it's translated all around the world. So it's just very easy to, go on Uno and just play other people. It was a lot of fun. I did it all the time too.
In Spain, is Uno called one?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then of course we get into some of the modern games, which we like to touch on as well. I know they had unless you have any other classics ones you'd like to talk about, because I know there's some good modern ones.
The only other one I would bring up classic wise is Risk, because if you remember the notorious history of me playing Risk with my friends, my friends hated playing me. Yes, my friends hated playing me because the dice always seemed to roll in my favor. So, and look, I have no control over the dice rolling in my favor. And you know what? I even tested that theory when I went to Vegas, and you know what? I didn't win.
No, so craps not your game?
No, I didn't win on craps. Now, if they had a friggin' Risk game I can bet on, I'd probably rule.
Listen, they have War as a table game. They could have Risk somewhere.
They should have Risk. They should definitely have Risk. But anyway.
I never played Risk because it was too detailed for me.
Risk isn't that complicated.
I feel like it is. No. It's a game of world domination.
Exactly. Who doesn't want that? But Risk, I had Risk on the Genesis.
Okay.
Way back when. And then I actually downloaded it I think it was on the 360 or the Xbox One. I forget which one I did, but there's one on there I think called Risk Factions, and there's they have like a bit of a story mode to it along with the traditional game. Just another one to throw out there because I really enjoy playing Risk.
No, those are very cool. Some modern ones like Jenga on the Wii kind of
Yeah.
makes sense. Fun. Those are just ones you like. I mean, obviously, it's not that hard to set up a Jenga game, but
Nope.
the Wii got a lot of those weird type of games. Funny enough, Atari put that out. You would think that'd be some sort of weird third party.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. A game
But how
that
about current games?
that's what I was gonna say. Well, it was on 360, but it is backwards compatible on the Xbox One. I will, and this game you introduced me to, and I fell in love with this board game big time. Ticket to Ride.
I love Ticket to Ride. Absolutely love Ticket to Ride.
It's great.
Yeah, the board game itself is awesome. But then to your point, you can download it on console. You can even download it on your phone. I have Ticket to Ride on my phone.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I don't know if I've downloaded it. I'll have to check
Yeah,
that
you
out.
can download Ticket to Ride on your phone. Another game that I'm personally obsessed with as well, board game wise, and my friends also. We love playing this game when we get together. It's Pandemic.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if it's on a console, but it's definitely on mobile because I have it on my phone.
It's coming out on the Switch.
It's coming out on the Switch. Absolutely awesome game. And more importantly, and I feel like this has been happening more with more current board games than previous, co-op games. So it's everybody cooperating against the game itself.
That's what you meant. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I mean. In other words, all the players are working together to win the game as opposed to everybody for themselves. And Pandemic is one of those. Absolutely great, super fun game. Another board game that I love that is also that it came out on 360 on Xbox Live, Catan, Settlers of Catan.
Oh yeah.
Another awesome game. If you haven't played it, I highly recommend it. It's also a competitive game, but there's co-op involved because you have to trade resources in order to build on the map. The map is different every time you play. It's really fun.
See, that's where. Look, I'm not gonna fake being anything else like this. I like a very simple board game. Roll the dice, move. Like I feel like a game like Catan that can go on for a long time, and there's like a lot of like trading and stuff. I don't know how much I could get into those. I know you love those.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's strategy-based gaming.
Yeah.
Well, you may not like Pandemic then.
No, we've played Pandemic. I actually liked. Look, there's always
that's right.
There's always
We
an
did play
exception.
it.
Remember, you was too busy setting up that one game, and 3 hours later, you're like, you know what? Let's play something else because you weren't done setting it up.
Mansions of Madness. That game is basically a game. If you have to play it, you need a whole night to play it.
Have you actually ever played it?
Once.
Are you still setting it up again for a second playthrough?
Yes.
So, and there's a multitude of other board games. Any others you want to mention it, or I mean, because it's just so many.
I mean, Carcassonne is another current game that's out there to play. If you haven't played the board game, it's another fun one. I'm trying to think of more current stuff, but I think that's really everything that pops, top of mind.
All right, sounds good. If you have any fun board games that you like that have been translated to video games, let us know at the Facebook page, facebook.com/retrogamerspodcast. And, let us know what your favorite board game is, in general. Because one day we want to do a board game episode, like a straight up board game episode.
We're definitely going to do a board game episode because I have a stack of board games sitting back there on my shelf that we can talk about.
All right, check it out in the future.
All right, Larry, another week. Another set of retro birthdays.
Oh, another one. All right. Happy birthday.
So we did bring up Mario Party in our last segment that segued into our board game discussion. So once again, Mario Party came out this week in 1999. It's celebrating its 20th birthday, but there are two other birthdays I wanted to bring up.
Okay.
Really quickly. In 2002 on the Game Boy Advance. Now, correct me if I'm wrong because you're the Game Boy expert here, not me. Sonic Advance came to the Game Boy Advance. Now, is that the first Sonic game to transition over to Nintendo?
Yes, there definitely were not any on Game Boy of my recollection. So, yeah, that's because was that around that time when the Advance
Dreamcast
came out,
under.
Dreamcast was pretty much done. Sega got out of the hardware business.
Yep. So Sonic Advance, Sonic made his debut on the Game Boy Advance 17 years ago.
Good Lord. A great game, too. I love that game. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome game. And then one other retro birthday I wanted to bring up. And this was actually an interesting one. This is almost a retro birthday / did you know? Because I definitely did not know this. Now, the original Castlevania was released in Japan on the Famicom disk system. Remember?
Yes.
It was not released on the Famicom itself.
Yeah.
That eventually it was released on the Famicom. Now, but Castlevania came out in what, 86?
I would say so. Yeah.
86, 87.
Yeah.
They did not make the cartridge version for the Famicom until 1993.
Wow.
So, and that was released this week. So 26 years ago this week, Castlevania finally came out on the Famicom in 93. Now,
when you talked about that.
Yeah, think about that for a second, though. Because by 93, the Super Nintendo was already 2 years in existence.
Mm-hmm.
But based on, and I've covered this on a Retro Spotlight, the Famicom was creating games for that system until 2001.
Yeah.
Which is insane. Like, Nintendo just kept going with that thing. So 1993 to them isn't all that big a deal. I was like, but still, when you think about it, 6 years after the disk system version came out, they finally came out with the cartridge version. I just thought that was interesting.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. So, Sonic Advance, Mario Party, and Castlevania cartridge for the Famicom, we're wishing each and every one of you a very happy retro birthday.
All right. Another week, another episode, another Super Bowl, another prediction, another board game.
Another one of us is wrong.
No, we'll see. LA.
Let's face it, though. One of us is wrong.
No, that's true. Yeah. We'll see what happens. It was a fun. Go Pats.
Go not Tom Brady.
Go watch Halftime Heat.
Super Bowl. Yes.
So enjoy, everyone already at this point has enjoyed the Super Bowl or their respective Super Bowl parties.
That is correct.
And
we are all 5 pounds heavier for it.
Some of us 5, some of us a little bit more, but that's okay because all in a good time having.
Yes.
Yes.
I don't even think that was a sentence.
Nope. I'm tired. I'm done. I've been up since 5 o'clock in the morning doing laundry. So with that, we're going to bring this one to a close. As always, first and foremost, check out our other podcasts here at the More Family Podcasts. You got the Retro Gamers, of course, listening to you right now. The Yin and the Yang podcast every Friday. The Better Half podcast every other Wednesday. And finally back for WrestleMania season, talking more wrestling, which will be every, give or take, Saturday at 6:05 p.m. Eastern.
That's right. And I will be guest starring on Talking More Wrestling one of these days.
You will. No. I got you. I'm going to have you. We're going to have the host of the Yin and Yang podcast. We're going to have Brandon on to talk about the indie scene coming up during WrestleMania weekend. So we're going to be doing a lot of that coming up. And where can they find this show, though, on social media?
Well, they've already found it because they're watching or listening as we speak.
Yes, but this is not social media.
That is very true. You can find us all over the place. You can find us on Instagram at Retro Gamers Podcast or Retro Gamers Pod. No, Retro Gamers Podcast, sorry. See, I don't even remember these things because I'm not very social media savvy. Find us on Instagram at Retro Gamers Podcast. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Retro Gamers Podcast. You can find us on our website at www.theretrogamers.com. You can listen to us on Spreaker, Amazon Alexa, iHeartRadio, basically every place that has podcasts, you can find us there. You can also email us if you have any questions or you want to tell us how awesome I am and Larry isn't. You can email us at email@theretrogamers.com.
We're getting new fans every time. We're getting, a lot of people are emailing us, giving us suggestions as well. So we definitely appreciate it. We love hearing from everybody. Continue to share the live stream, share the podcast. Just simply share the podcast from whatever app you listen on. They all have share options. And of course, the 5-star ratings at Apple Podcasts. That's really what will help us get through this and let your friends, let your family know about your favorite retro gaming podcast, which is this one, because we will catch you right here next week on the Retro Gamers Podcast.